Hey everyone, welcome back to Imperium Goddess Diaries. My name is Louisa, and today we're going to talk about the spirituality of hair and how my hair specifically evolved throughout my spiritual journey to the point where, like, I started kind of back at the beginning with my hair when my priest kind of awakening started. So it's very interesting watching myself change in this way and the way that I inducted myself and my look through my journey. And I'm really excited to share this with you guys because there's something that's really it's an interesting topic, and I don't know if anyone's really spoken about this before, but like your look has a really big makes a big difference in your evolution and the way that you conduct yourself through your journey. So let's get started. Now, if you haven't hit that subscribe button, you should just do it because I got some great content coming. And all my other content's really good and it's really informative. So if you do enjoy this, you're so welcome to do that. So I now have my pre-awakening was like 2018. But I was sitting in a different place at that awakening stage. My awakening kind of started with like the fluffiness. So it was like everything was manifested really easily. I'd go into a meditation, I'd ask for something and it would just turn up. It was very seamless for me, and I was just constantly doing it. It was just so much fun. That's what all I thought spirituality was just like manifesting. It was really, really cool. Um, and then it was after that I had my fitness competition in 2019 is where like everything shifted for me as well. So I went into a little bit of a darker state of mind, because obviously it accentuated my major like body dysmorphia issues, but it also things started coming up that I actually didn't really know what was happening with me. So everything was kind of bubbling at the surface. I had no idea what these feelings were, no idea what these emotions were. And it was more towards the end of 2019, is when I really decided to actually go get hair extensions. And those hair extensions came in, started 2020. So through the whole of COVID, I had perfect hair. Like I went to my hairdresser the whole of COVID and got my hair washed every week, twice a week, blow dried, curled, straight, everything you wanted. It was always beautifully done. Because I just really, really wanted to have beautiful hair because I didn't like internally, I just wasn't feeling amazing. So it does help. So when I first got my extensions, they were bright black, platinum blonde. I used to be a platinum blonde. That hair color is not very sustainable for a long time. If anyone's been a platinum blonde before, not very sustainable. But I had long platinum blonde hair, and I had that platinum blonde hair I think for maybe about 18 months to 2 years. Um, Here's a photo. Of the platinum hair. It was very beautiful. Like it was very, very nice hair. I really, really enjoyed having that hair. But when I look back and I look back at the way that I looked, because I don't even look the same anymore. All of this hair was a shield for me, and I actually didn't really realize it at the time. Now, for some people, image makes a big deal into their life because it actually helps. It's a form of their self-love and makes themselves feel good. People have so many different ways that they make themselves feel good, and mine is the way that my aesthetics and the way that I look on the outside, because it does help with it's that self-love element. It's like that mushy feel good, and it's just like, yes, like you've dressed up today and you look really cool, you look really nice. And I've been like that for a long time, but this was different. This hair was like the focal point of everything, and I pride myself in having beautiful hair. And when I look back over the years of the way that I looked, I knew internally I wasn't feeling that well. And it was more like I was going through multiple dark night of the souls, and I just didn't understand what they were. I'd never understood what this feeling was. I'd never felt this before. And it was really like, if anyone here has been through an awakening process or is kind of in one now, it's very scary, especially if you have never really delved into the mental health space before. And I never fully understood it, and then it hit me with all the things that was just presented to me. It was like, here's your shit. And it's still going. Like there's still things I need to work on, and there's still new things I'm realizing all the time. But I'm just better equipped at looking at them and observing them now, rather than really, really absorbing it and making it my whole personality. So going through this awakening process, this blonde, platinum thing was evident. But that was still a lot of connection to my older self, which was my platinum self. And there was, for some reason, I think it was maybe in 2021 or end of 2020, I went through a shift and I went to a stretch. So which is more like this color tone. and I've had this color for the rest of the time. Now, I then got even longer extensions. They were beautiful. Like that was just such exquisite hair. Now, if you notice in these photos, I'm not sure if any of you guys do notice, is I actually, from the point of the 2019 to the start of 2020, I gained weight. Now, this is a complete other story, and when I'm ready to discuss this story with you guys, I will discuss this story. But that weight has nothing to do with the way that I was like eating or living. Probably like maybe a little bit, but a lot of it has to do with the energy that I hold, and I still hold a little bit of that now. While it's slowly shedding away. But I've spoken to like medical mediums before, and I've spoken to a lot of other people in the psychic space who are a little bit deeper in it than I am, and they mentioned to me that all of the weight that I hold is emotional. It's not really nothing to do with my health because I'm quite healthy. So I also had this hair to shield that because I was deeply ashamed of gaining weight, like deeply. Like it was, to me, the most disgusting thing that I've ever experienced. I was like, how dare you get yourself to this point? Like my negative self-talk is so mean. And it was. And I'm definitely coming out of a place where I'm not so critical of myself because I'm very self-critical in some ways. But like that was, to me, probably the worst thing that could have ever happened to me was gain weight. Like honestly, I'm no word of a lie, the worst thing that could have ever happened to me. And I've said this a lot lately, but you manifest the thing that you don't want. I'm telling you right now, you sit there and you're afraid of something happening, it will happen. If you put in every single preventative measure so that it doesn't happen, I'm telling you it'll find a way. Like it will find a way to come to you because you keep thinking about it, you keep manifesting it. And one of the reasons why I manifested it so much, this weight gain, was because after my comp, my body dysmorphia like just switched me, and I just looked at myself. I was so small. I gained maybe a couple of kilos naturally because I was 8% body fat. Or ringing my ears. I was 8% body fat, so I'd gained weight naturally just to kind of like fill out normally. And my brain was like, that's gross. And those thoughts like were just every day rolling through my head. It was like, it was so consuming to the point where like it actually happened. And this hair protected me from that. This hair was like the best, one of the most beautiful parts of me, and I just treasured it, and I manicured it, and I looked after it like a pet. I still do. I still take a lot of care of my hair. I gave it the right treatments. It was getting blow dries. It was getting the right washes, and I was getting it like my extensions last so long because I would just treat them like a pet. Now this hair was a huge part of me looking after this thing because it was making me feel beautiful. One of the only things that I had left to feel beautiful was this hair. Even though I've always had like a good face, this hair was just like, you know what I mean, was just everything for me. So I was very, very proud of it. Not only that was I dealing with the fact that I'd gained weight, I was also dealing with like more ego death. And like I didn't really understand shadow work properly. So I thought I acknowledged shadow work, but I hadn't integrated the shadow. You can do shadow work, you can ask yourself a fucking bunch of questions, but if you don't integrate your shadow properly, you're not doing any of the work. And that's a complete other story, and I'll go into that at another stage. But this thing was like facing everything, and I was looking at things and I just wasn't able to understand them. It was just more like, and I lost a lot of like the positive part of me because I'm generally quite a positive person, and it just wasn't like I found it really hard to remain in that state. Also, obviously, like what was happening globally at the time, it was just not an easy place to be positive. However, I did have a lot of fun during COVID. I probably wasn't as productive, but I wasn't meant to be productive. I was meant to experience. I feel like my spiritual awakening was surrounded by like a lot of fun. And I think it was a really good distraction for me. I lived in a hub of socializing. I was in, if anyone is familiar with Brisbane, I lived in Newstead, which was just like the most like amazing suburb. It was every inch of your doorstep. You could walk downstairs and there was restaurants and cafes and bars and like accessible to everything. Your friends lived in different buildings and we all went to go hang out with each other all the time. It was honestly so much fun. Wasn't overly productive, even though that's when Imperium Goddess, I built her then. I call her because she's another entity of me. I built her then, and I tried to grow, but I couldn't get to the space of where I wanted her to be. But it was all in this time, all in this all I knew was advice. And all I knew was the advice that I never got, or the advice that I found out on myself. So I just kept giving out all this spiritual advice because that's just all I knew what to do, rather than just kind of like integrate it and start working with it and making it work for me. So that was this hair period. And this hair period also came with a fringe, my fringe. And I loved this thing. Like this thing, obviously, you guys have known me a lot in my fringe state, and this fringe has stuck around for a long time. I only really wanted a fringe. I've been thinking about it for a while, and then I watched a Halloween movie. So which one with Nicole Kidman in it? I can't remember. Anyway, so I watched that, and the next day I got a fringe. So it was like, it stuck around for a couple of years. I think I got that around 2021. And that fringe has only just left this year. So the fringe was awesome, and it framed my face really beautifully. But from that 2021 and all 2020, I still had the long hair. And then I moved to the Gold Coast at mid 2022. My time in Newstead was coming to an end. I'd already gotten over it a year before. It was just we were too accessible for other people. There's a lot of people at my house all the time. Too many people knew where we lived, and people always wanted to come over and like have a chat or like hang out or like ask my partner to go out with them. And like poor thing had a really big, massive rubber arm, and always went out. So it's just like not a very healthy environment. And there's a lot of really inauthentic people that like we were surrounding ourselves with at the time. And it was just so nice to get away from them, because when you live in a space where people just want to party or people want to just socialize and drink, that's kind of all they really have to offer. And that's when I really looked at Brisbane in a darker light. Like, this is just not where I want to be. I want to be near nature. I deeply, deeply miss the ocean. I grew up on an island, Bribie Island, if anyone knows that. I grew up there from 8 years old to about 22. So I lived near an ocean for most of my life. So it was very difficult for me to live in a city. I just felt very suffocated. So when I moved to the Gold Coast, I was like, okay, I feel more free. And that's when I started noticing, like, I had my hair, and I really loved my hair. But it was not until maybe 2023 when I started kind of like, I was still in the depths of a lot of my shadow, and I was definitely kind of coming out of certain things because I had more knowledge. I started having a bit more knowledge, and I started and when I was going outside more and I was becoming more at peace with what was going on around me, at peace with my surroundings, really feeling really so comfortable in my home, I started cutting my hair shorter. And so this shift in me came with a place of feeling more comfortable within myself. And my body has been slowly changing over the years. It's been slowly coming to a place where I'm falling in love with it more, and I'm holding it a little bit more. And so obviously all of like a lot of the drinking stopped. Like, people weren't really coming over as much. They still were a little bit, but I minimized that completely. Completely minimized that. I went to a phase of, then last year I didn't drink for 10 months, which was amazing. Really, really enjoyed it. And it was in those times that my hair just started like getting shorter and shorter and shorter. And I noticed that over the years, ever since I got my long hair, I had people say to me, Louisa, I really do love your hair short. And I cannot explain to you the fury that I would experience inside when people said that. I'm like, how fucking rude are you to tell me that my hair is better the way that it is? I'm perfect the way that I am. All shadow. All of it was shadow, because I knew that hair was so beautiful, but I didn't think I deserved it. And I didn't think I deserved that hair until I lost weight. So I didn't realize that back then. I just thought I was like this fucking rude individual thinking my hair looks better. It doesn't. Like, I look better now. You know what I mean? It was all me just fighting with this, like with the shadow, because her and I hadn't integrated yet. So we hadn't worked together. So over time, when it was 2023 and I started to cut my hair shorter, I then, my partner, he always loved my bob, and he's like, Lou, like, when are you going to get the bob back? And I was like, I fucking will get it back when I want. I was still really reactive. I only then, in the past 6 months, when it started, because it went from here and then it went to above boobs, and then it was like, and then I started getting it shorter and shorter until I got this now. I then realized it was about late last year, before I went to Bali, I said, I think I do want my short hair back, but I need to be skinny before I get it. Like, in my head, this is not very long ago, and I'm still working through this now, that I didn't deserve to have this hair until I lost weight, because bobs really do suit smaller figures. In my head, like, that's what it is, right? That's for me. That works for me. If that doesn't work for anyone else, that's fine. But that's in my world, in my head. What my mind told me is that you don't deserve to have this hair until you lose more weight. So I was like, okay, very toxic, very, very toxic. So I then went on, and every time I went to the hairdresser, I'd obviously get my extensions put up because I still have extensions in. I get my extensions put up, and I get chopped like a little bit shorter every time. I've been doing this, and my hairdressers know. But we've been doing this since like, you know, but the end of last year, and it was only on when I did cut this 2 weeks ago, and it was only even a few days before I cut it. I had one of my girlfriends who she's been friends with me for a while now. When I had my 2018, 2019 bob, she's like, Lou, when are you going to go back to your bob? She goes, you look so beautiful with your bob. And I was like, babe, I'm only going to get it if I lose weight. And she's like, really? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, yeah. So, and then 3 days later, I cut it. It was, I could, like, the switch in my head was like, are you listening to what you're saying? Are you like, and if anyone has dealt with body dysmorphia before, it is, sorry, there's a fly in this room. If anyone's dealt with body dysmorphia before, it is debilitating. It is so sad to experience because the way that the world sees you, the way that people compliment you, you still don't fully believe it. But then you do believe it at the same time because you put so much pride in the way that you look. So because you're always striving to look so beautiful, so you're always so well groomed and presented, and everything is so articulate, everything is perfect. Like I'm very manicured, and that you put in the work, and you look good, and then there's another voice in your head that tells you no. So then I decided to do the very opposite thing that my brain told me to do. And I've decided this year, I've made it like my mission this year to do everything that makes me uncomfortable. As many things as I can that make me uncomfortable, because that is the paradox. Because the opposite of that is going to be my evolution. It's going to be my growth. Everything that I hated, everything that I don't like, I hated cold pools. I thought they sucked. It's the exact thing that I needed to do for me to grow. And now I'm like an enthusiast, like ready to go on the Wim Hof fucking journey. Like, and everything that you don't like, a lot of things that you look at make you so uncomfortable. It's the opposite of that, where it's your growth. So I stepped in and I cut my hair short. I didn't go full like bob where I used to because I still have extensions in. But this hair, I looked at myself, and over the past couple of weeks, I looked at myself, and like I actually look different. It's like, but through this journey, through this time where I've started to cut my hair shorter, is I've started to feel more comfortable in my body. I started to feel more worthy of having this hair again. And it is amazing how much of a hold that's had on me and my journey as well. My hair has gone with me in my journey. My hair has been my protector. My hair has been my gut, like it's shielded me. It's told me that everything's okay. It's told me don't worry, just because you're suffering on the inside doesn't mean you have to suffer on the outside. And I was still suffering on the outside, but it's okay because you have me and I've got you. And that energy that I had with it was like, it's so fascinating for me to witness, because I haven't really even wrapped my own head around it, but I just feel like I have to talk about it because people go through changes all the time and they change their hair. I've seen so many of my girlfriends do it. Like all of a sudden, one of my very beautiful friends, Britt, she'll decide that she wants to go black with long extensions. And this was a while ago she did this, and I'm like, babe, you're right. She goes, I'm just going through something. I'm like, okay. All of a sudden, and then in 2 weeks she'll have a bob again. So we all go through major hair changes. We go through it's such a big part of our image. I had one of my best friends, Zoe. She's like shaved all of hers off because she's like, this is me. I want to be this person. My hair was I wanted to be raw. I wanted to be free, and that's authentically works for her. Some people never change their hair. Some people really like it the way that it is. For instance, my hairdresser, she, depending on her moods or where she's at, she'll either take all her extensions out or she'll put them back in, depending on where she's at. So we're all, obviously as women, we do want to change the way we look. We either get bored, but it's interesting if you really look at it in the way of like, what am I going through and what is this hair representing for me? Because it actually makes a huge difference, and there may be links to what's going on around you, internally, And I think one of the reasons why I have this hair again is because I'm in a much bigger state of peace than I was when I first started my awakening. I've let go of a lot of people. I've let go of a lot of the way of being, way of thinking, lifestyles that don't resonate with me anymore. I'm kind of coming back into myself and being comfortable in who I am. And my hair came with me, and it's like, and I'm like, welcome back. And I literally, like, my hair's like, I'm happy to be back. I have a different color because obviously platinum blonde is not sustainable, as we may know. But it's grown with me. It's got shorter with me. It's supported me, and for that, I'm forever going to be grateful. But it's very, very interesting when you change your look, you look at your personal evolution and how it worked for you, and you um how you integrated with it, because it is a deeper meaning. Everything has meaning. We don't really do things because, you know, just as a whim. Everything is deep. And sometimes people are like, oh, it's not that deep. It's deep. Everything is deep. And I look at, like, you know, and when I spend too much time in it, I can go really into a rabbit hole. But I appreciate the depth of things because life has so much more meaning when you put meaning behind it. If you're doing things on a whim, are you just scoping through the surface? How much meaning does your life have? But when you look at yourself and you're like, I've evolved, I've changed, and died as I was filming toward like the end of the video, and there was no sound. So here I am just filming the last bit again. Basically, all I'm saying is, when you have visibility on your entire life and you take an outside perspective on what you've been through, what you've gone through, and you look at your actual visible changes within you, you'll notice, I went through this and I look like this, and I went through this and I had this hairstyle, or I went through this and I had this type of outlook, or I dressed a certain way. It all links. It all has a deeper meaning. Everything does have a deeper meaning. And so this video is just like a little bit of a deeper dive into me and things that like I've thought about, or things that have come up for me, and I just want to share with everyone. It may resonate, it may not, but either way, I hope that you really enjoyed this video, and looking forward to seeing you guys next week.